Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Thursday Fastball. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and this week we have a very, very special guest. She is quite vocal in the world of politics, social BS, political BS, and just all around life as we see it. She is a blogger, she's a YouTuber, a bit shooter, she is a truther, all around patriot, and all around decent human being. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Elle Sophia Rossetti. Welcome, Elle, to the
Hello.
Thursday Fastball.
Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem. So, in recent news, I guess you have some personal news to share with the world, if you don't mind sharing it here in the
Yeah.
Fastball.
Yeah, no, I just finished getting my surgery, which is pretty much the biggest part of a transgender person's transition is that surgery. So basically now I can work from that up. And but yeah, that's it was a long wait. It was over 4 decades wait. And I got in before I was 60. Woo woo.
Well done. Well done on that, too. Congratulations, too.
Thank you.
So, that's the thing. So, please tell my audience, for those, I know your story, but tell my audience what brought you to the conclusion you're at now with your life.
Okay, well, I guess I just have to start with saying that I grew up in a very small town of 4,400 people. We didn't have transgenders. We didn't have, if we had any cross dressers, they did it at home in private. We didn't, you couldn't say the word homosexual. Well, the early 60s when I was born, 61, you couldn't even say that word, or you were dirty and you were chastised by society for even saying the word homosexual, right? So I grew up in that time and era where it was like everything was sheltered. So I didn't understand why I was so different from all the other kids. I was different from the boys and the girls, although I was more like the girls, but, different from them too. And I guess there was times I thought I was scared to grow up. I was scared to turn into an adult because I knew, the adults would pick up on my difference. But when I hit 17, I met a bunch of other transgenders and transsexuals and drag queens and all them. And it clicked right away. Everything, I had the same stories as them, the same everything as them. And it clicked at that point. That's why I'm transgender. That's why I am the way I am. I'm not the freak I thought I was, because I thought I was a really bad freak as a kid. So it made sense to me. And then at that time, surgeries were very iffy. Like you could get a good surgery or a bad surgery. Like they were doing them different from how they do them now. So I had a couple of girls who had botched surgery say, wait with your surgery until they perfect the method, right? Which they did in 91. But at that time I was in a relationship. And so I couldn't just, so anyway, at 55, I just decided to throw my give a fuck card out the window. I'm doing my transition. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it before I'm 60. And I'm going to tilt back a drink at 60 and say, okay, I beat the clock, right? And I did. And I did it in a half year to spare. So, which was hard because I had to fight my way in to get to the clinic to get my transition going. And then I had to fight my way through surgery. I had to wait over 2 years to get my surgery date. So everything took a lot of time when I was supposed to be really quick. But now I have it. I've never been happier. I've never been more whole. And to explain to people what it's like to be transgender is this. Your soul drives your body. They're two separate entities. The body's physical. The soul is the electric start for the body. My soul and body were at conflict all my life until I got the surgery done. And now they are in tune. They are in line. There's no more conflict. And that's what makes this a happy thing. Is I don't want anyone to go through this. It's very painful mentally, emotionally, and physically. It's a hard experience for anyone to go through. But, to live in the wrong body and die in the wrong body just wasn't something I could do. So I fought hard to get this transition happening. And finally I did. And I will say to any people out there living, if you are in the wrong body, go get help, go get the HRT, go get the surgery. It's going to bring things back in tune for you, and you won't have to live with that conflict and die with that. I couldn't myself. I really wanted to just do this
Mhm.
And especially now, because right now, mandatory vaccines are on the horizon, and these vaccine passports, and I will not get one.
Mhm.
So I would lose my transition, right? It almost came down to it because they wanted me to get a PCR test, and I was deadly against that.
Mhm.
But I said, okay, I have no choice because they're telling me no surgery, no test, no surgery. So I got them to just go around the mid nose here, kind of thing, not drive it up in my head. So I got lucky, and I got a negative test, and the rest is done. The rest is I got my surgery, but just in time,
Well done. Well, congratulations again on that too.
Oh, thanks.
What would you say, based on all the well, okay, you and I both know we're well in tune with a lot of the social justice warriors out there that turn around and say men are just like women and women are just like men. What would you say to that?
Okay. Yes, in a physical sense, because men have estrogen and testosterone levels, and so do women. So that's really the only basic way we are the same. We are different. And biological women are far different from transgender women, and biological men are far different from transgendered men. So you can't, that's a social construct attitude, that whole thing. People like Yanif, right? You got to let me in this beauty contest because I identify as a female. No, until you're a female, until you get transitioned, at least you have no right to say that. And these people bring on these crazy ideologies of 31 genders and gosh knows how many pronouns. And, the Z and the they and the them and the it, like, take it and fuck off. Like, I was in the transgender group, and they called me a transphobe because I would not accept Z and they and them and it and all this other crap. I said, you people are nuts. I'm out of here. Bye.
Well, that's just like calling someone of the Jewish faith a Nazi, is it not?
Yeah, basically.
How can you be a transphobe? You transitioned. How could you be a phobe to something you transitioned to?
But that's how stupid they are, John. They just start lurching out names. They'll call you a fascist. They'll call you a racist. They'll call you a xenophobe. They'll call any name, but they don't even know how to apply them. And if you ask them to define fascism, not one of them can. And some of these people are university professors, okay, and teachers who should know the difference from fascism.
Oh, I'd say so. I'd say it's the same coin as communism, just different mustaches per se. No pun.
Yeah,
Both totalitarian, both are geared towards a collective of the so-called greater good.
Yeah.
And they both have led in the deaths of millions. So, there might be a subtle difference, but it's based in socialism. And you could talk about the Wehrmacht, and you can talk about this group and that group, but they all did the same thing under the guise of tyranny. We're doing this for the greater good. We're doing it for our people, or this group of people, or that group of people. And if anything is fascist now, anything remotely close to fascism or communism for that matter, would have to be Bill C-10 and other legislation they are passing behind our backs. Everything when it comes to a lot of police officers that go en masse with health officials to shut down churches or any kind of community event or gathering, or to any government politician that wants to sit there on their hands and come up with these great ideas to tell you and I what to see and what to say.
Yeah.
Regardless, once again, congratulations. I love your courage for that. I would sooner praise your courage for doing something is right for you, rather than, let's say, Caitlyn Jenner running for the California governor.
Yeah, and the whole thing with Jenner is, she's an attention hound. Like, everything she does is to have the cameras there on her. These people get used to it, and they have to have it. They miss it when they don't have it.
That's a drug.
I don't see her as having the qualifications to be a senator because she doesn't understand politics enough. I was watching a show with her before when Donald Trump was running for president, and she said she's going to vote for him because he's not Hillary Clinton, basically. But her everything's mixed up. She's awake for the wrong reasons, and I cannot see her being a politician. Simply because she's just a Holly weirdo, Sorry to say.
I'd say no. I agree with you entirely. I just find a lot of it is not necessarily substantial, based in, let's say, personal preservation. A lot of it is based on the trend.
Yeah.
If anything, I would say that's my best guess. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
But I would say a lot of it's a trend too, right?
Yeah. And that runs a lot with social construct. It's trendy, right? Wake up one day and you feel gay, so you think, oh well, I'm gay or I'm trans, or it's like you can't just. That's not how it works. I mean, you're born that way, and you might hide it or suppress it or whatever, but you're born that way. A social construct takes that and throws it out the window and says, you can be anything. You can be a tree. You can be a cougar or a unicorn in our purple skies. And that's
Pixie dust and fairy farm.
It's just silliness. And I've been fighting. I got kicked off Twitter for hashtag end social construct. Hashtag. Really?
They took it to that limit.
Yeah, well, I also insulted Yaniv. I called him a fake. I said he's a pedophile. He's nothing more than, he's a pervert.
Well, of course.
Yeah, and and then I put hashtag in social construct. They took down my tweet and said, unless you remove this, we will not let you back on. I said, well, good. I said, you guys are a bunch of pedophile supporting losers, and I don't want to be on your platform anyway. I was just here because of my other friends, right? Screw you. So I never went back, and I'm glad I didn't, because I see the mess Twitter is in, and actually Facebook is too, where they're just
starting to creep, isn't it? It's starting to eat itself, isn't it?
Yeah, and the stupid thing is I get away with posting things that other people cannot post, or get that Facebook jail, or they get banned for this and that, and yet I post it and it stays there. That's a double standard, right? Anyone should be able to post what anyone's legally allowed to post, or no one should be allowed to post it. But Facebook has secret rules for certain people. So I like to think of myself as the voice for the voiceless, and I post things that I think are common sense. I have a lot of people that agree with me. In fact, 95% of my support base are just people, just everyday average people. They're Christian, they're they're straight people, so that's why, because I believe in common sense, and that's the time and era I grew up in, and I think you did as well.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah, you were taught common sense. I can tell by listening to your show that you have the fucking common sense. It's probably slapped into you when you were a kid, like I did. And watching the world go crazy, isn't it hard? Do you find it hard watching what you're seeing?
Not that I would use my parents' example when it came to disciplinary things, but as I got older, it's one thing being pulled aside and being talked to about, okay, you made a mistake, you fucked up. This is what I want you to do to make it better.
Yeah.
Some of my experience I used to get from authority figures, especially in the military, they'd be like one-sided conversations, if anything, because as a trained leader, you understand the capacity that your subordinates have, because you encourage that. If I had a soldier that was out of line, I'd do my best to correct that soldier without being a dick.
Yeah.
Now, when you're dealing with recruits, that's a different story. But when you have a working crew with you that's assigned to you, and they're going to be with you for the next part of 6 months, you got to be friendly to a point where you have to understand what they're saying. You can't sit there and bark orders, blah, blah, blah. I'm the sergeant. This is what I have to say, and this is what you'll do. You got to be honest. There's men and women out there that will give you 100%, just like that. But you got to give them the same thing. So that's the dynamic that I learned as a leader, and the examples that I was given to by my father and my mother too. Parenting isn't perfect. Nobody ever said it was. You can write all the self-help books and get this information from Reader's Digest and all these places and watch Oprah and get all this information. It's an experience that every parent goes through that they learn on their own. Sometimes they make mistakes, sometimes they don't. Okay. But I'm not one of those individuals who's going to blame my mom and dad for it. I take responsibility for my life. Just because I didn't get encouraged here at one point doesn't mean I can't be encouraged right here now. And that's the thing. And you got to dig deep and find that within yourself to do it. And that's why I salute you, because you dug deep, you knew something, you did something about it. Well done on you, sister. And I will say sister.
Well, I think
Like,
it's just a matter of people accepting their situation and then finding a way to deal with it. And that's what I had to do. It was like, okay, it was easier accepting it than it was doing something about it. But, as long as my fight took, I got it done finally. And yeah, thank you.
well, congratulations, and that's great. And that way you feel better in your own skin too. We got a comment here
Yeah.
from a Mark Dietz, one of my fans. Thank you, Mark. The left will pander to you. Look, I have a trans friend. Until you say something that woke don't agree with, then you're the enemy. Yeah, the notional thing, right? We've all
Well,
seen that example before in certain teen movies and stuff. Here's the token Asian guy. Here's the token black guy. Here's the token homosexual character. Here's the token lesbian character, whatever character, just to make it look like it's presentable, right?
yeah. The woke never liked me because I was a yellow vester. So they called me a prefabricated extremist right-wing transgender is what I've been labeled by.
It sounds like a terrible movie from the 70s almost.
Yeah, well, that's anti-farts for you, right?
Anti-farts.
Yeah, exactly. I've been attacking them and the LGBT. I exposed the LGBT, so they're really pissed at me. But it's about, my whole channel was about exposing corruption and injustice. And those are two things that I see are corrupt and unjust. And they're just, they're totally absconded. Basically their ideas have been absconded by mentally ill people. It's very much like David Icke said, the world is being run by unbelievably sick people. And they're being backed by all these people like mainstream media and world governments because they're being paid. And this is where the world is at. And you have groups like Antifa and LGBTFA or LGBTQTP 619 or whatever they are this week.
Sounds like a terrible combination lock to some
crypto. Yeah, it does. But they are now paid organizations to cause dissent and to cause anarchy amongst the other people. So they call us the right, but because they don't have an opposition, their opposition is everybody because I don't ever see a right. It's just like the whole left and right thing's a paradigm. They're trying to keep you locked in this little paradigm. Think outside the box, people.
Well, it's like left and right wing of the same bird.
Exactly. And, it's the left against everybody else, as I see it. There is no right. The left constructed the right, so they look like they have an opponent. As a yellow vester, we fought the invasion of the UN in Canada, and we were called racist by the mainstream media, fascists, and by Antifa as well. I got called a child abuser because I stand against children being given these puberty blockers who are so dangerous, and the drug makers have no idea what the long-term effects are these on our adults, let alone children. So they should not be giving them those drugs. And I got called a child abuser for that. So I mean, this is the bullshit they're trying to.
I was let go from a job because I said leave kids alone.
Really?
Yeah,
let them be kids. Let them decide for themselves.
If little Billy goes through puberty and then he looks at his friend Scotty and goes, "Hey, how you doing?" Okay, well, I guess Billy's gay. So what?
So what?
That doesn't mean he's trans. That doesn't mean he wants to be a girl. Maybe because he's gay. If he looks at his friend Sarah and goes, "How you doing?" Then Billy's straight. So be it. So be it. And just let people flow naturally where they're supposed to. Because I remember 30 years ago, and some good friends of mine had trouble coming out. Okay. And there was a lot of persecution on both sides of the spectrum, the left and the right too. Okay, you're gay, we'll back up your rights, but you have to live this way. And or if you're on the right side and you're gay, oh my God, what am I going to tell my parents or whatever? And then you still have to live this way and be quieted and closeted. So which is it? Now, at that time we're saying, well, it's just natural, accept people for who they are. Okay, great. Same thing now, accept people for who they are. If someone has an identity, if Bill wants to become Bertha, okay, go do it. But do it at your expense. Do it and one of the conflicts I've come across too with some conversations is where, well, this medication should be free and that medication should be free. And these pills should be available for this. And it's like, okay, when a man hits his 40s, his testosterone level does this. That's just natural. we have to go talk to a medical practitioner, say, look, is there something you can do to help me with my testosterone? Like eat better meat, more chicken rather than beef, or more fish rather than chicken, different things. It all depends on your body chemistry. But you still either have to get a little cream or a pill that helps your testosterone levels come up.
Yeah.
Right. We still have to get a prescription for that. It's not like you just go to the store and buy some vitamin C. Oh, there's a big jug of testosterone. Oh, here I go. Because that can screw you up. It's the same thing as iron. When people have an iron deficiency, you can't just go grab some iron pills. It has to be prescribed to you because it will kill you. I've dealt with some people saying, well, this medication should be free because I'm this, or this medication should be free because I deserve that. It's like, well, with that attitude, I think you deserve the proverbial, cuff across the head, that pass.
Yeah.
You just sit there and pause and go, whoosh. It's like, get out and work for it, I got a question here from Gil Gilbert there. Fantastic human being.
Yeah, he is.
What is your opinion, sister, on this lawsuit that I sent you both today? Sorry, Jill, I didn't see the email. Can you elaborate on that there, Elle?
I don't believe let me just go look, because the last thing I remember him sending me was a video. I think I remember reading up on that. Yeah. Let me just refresh my memory. Yeah, no, it was Brothers information. Let me see. I think I remember what he's talking about. I just have to wait for Facebook to load here.
No problem.
His appearances logged. Okay, I can't see the full titles. I think I remember what you're talking about, Gil, and I have heard of a lawsuit. I just can't remember what it was all about.
It says it's from Drither.
Druthers. Okay, I haven't opened that one yet.
Druthers?
Yeah, I have to open that before I'll know.
Okay.
But
we can get back to that later.
Knowing me, I think he would know where I'll stand on it. I think he and I have very much like you and I, we have close to the same, thought pattern, right? Mm-hmm. We still may have different views on different things, but we got the same thought pattern. Gil knows me like a book. I think if anyone does, because he's on my page every day, we chat all the time. And Gil, you know better. You know how I feel.
Well, from Blue Apple, she has a great video series, by the way, too, folks. You can check her out on YouTube as well. The trans lobby is vicious to women. In the UK, they won't even acknowledge women. It's happening in Canada, too. They also say, or she also says, too, they said breastfeeding mothers are chest feeders. I heard that. I had a nice little chuckle on that. Men cannot breastfeed children.
No. Well, actually, no, you're wrong about that. They have had one transgender person who took a certain medication that made them
naturally. That is naturally.
But that's like I said, men and women are similar in certain ways. Like the breasts we grow are real breasts. It's just biological women have higher levels, so they can do it easier. But that's been the only case that I've heard of a transgender, and that was her own child, that she had before she transgendered. So she wanted to be a part of the feeding, and I guess they give her some drug that makes you lactate, and I can't remember what drug it was, but that's the only case I've heard of. I think the trans lobbyists need to shut the fuck up. I really think they're embarrassing the crap out of trans people. And believe me, I had when I had my YouTube channel before they took it. Oh, hello, Blue Apple, by the way. I had videos about that. They need to shut the fuck up. They're really embarrassing the trans community. And I have a lot of trans people on my BitChute as well that came over from YouTube who support my theology on this. They cannot speak for all of us. Never could. Well, I'm not trans anymore, but they cannot speak for them. It's not right for a couple of people who are just outright. What would you call it? Narcissistic people,
arrogant,
and uninformed.
Like, I'm holding up 3 fingers
as they go along. Yeah,
I got 3 fingers. I'm not holding up 20, or you can identify as them as 5 or 6. No, it's 3 fucking
exactly.
fingers.
But I look at people like Yaniv, who calls himself a trans activist, but he's done nothing for the trans community. He's totally self-oriented piece of crap. And he's an embarrassment to the trans community. So is that OJ idiot, the one that helped write C-16, which is such a vague law they can't even apply it in practice. The police have no way to apply it. So I mean, these people who are doing nothing and claiming to be these gods of the trans people need to shut the fuck up and take their place. You have to earn what you want. If you want to bugle your horn, you got to earn that. I don't ever feel that I was ever a trans activist. I'm a truther. And I was a YouTuber. I'm a bit shooter. I'm a brightener. I'm on all these platforms, but it's about truth and exposing injustices and criminal, basically corruption. And that's what I do. But these trans activists act like they're doing something, and they're not. They're hurting the trans community. They're putting a dark cloud over all of them, and making them look like them, like they're like we're all stupid, right?
Well, they're not representing the whole group too.
You can't do that.
I've worked with some great soldiers, and I worked with some not so great soldiers too when they broke the law. That doesn't mean that every soldier is a drunken swine or a moron. And based on the examples we're seeing today in federal politics, of course, the media is going to spin that narrative just like they did in the 90s with the airborne fiasco too. So we have to be due diligent and extra careful, but still nonetheless stand our ground and be realistic too.
Yeah. And Justin Mears, you're right. Collectivism versus individualism. That's dead on bang. Yeah,
exactly. I want people to be happy. I would like to see the wealth, shared, but I don't want you to give me 100 of your dollars. I want you to create a business and maybe give me a job that might help me make $100 or vice versa. Or you buy something from my store, or you buy something from this store to help this guy out. That kind of collective marketing, I guess you can say, is where it works. Unfortunately, our government doesn't see it that way. They want to put a kibosh because of C-10 on freedom of speech online. They want to put a kibosh to small business because look at the lockdowns, and plus additional payroll tax and taxes that employees have to pay every time they file, not to mention the second carbon tax. So when people are talking about rights and talking about all these issues, it's like, well, look at the fundamental rights that we all have here that are being taken and squandered in the name of safety.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what gets me. Another question here from Blue Apple. From Gil. Okay, I'll get Gil here. Yeah, just bear with me, folks. I'm going to try to catch up with as many questions as I can. My guest today and tonight is Elle Sophia Rossetti. Very Italian of you, right?
Yeah.
Elle Sophia Rossetti.
That's Rossetti. Yeah, that's another for you.
A nice bottle of vino, and I'll go to smack up beside the head. Yeah.
Yeah, spaghetti.
Yeah. Pardon my stereotype. I don't want to offend my Italian audience out there, but just for the namesake, here we go. Needless to say, trans female went under the knife, became a female. Good for her. Very courageous, truther, podcaster, vlogger, and patriot. That's my guest tonight, Miss Elle Sophia Rossetti. Very, very outspoken individual. And if you like and hear what you see, ladies and gentlemen, please consider donating to Crusty Canuck podcast via crustycanuck.ca. I'll put the logo at the bottom there of the screen for you guys to see. Please consider donating today. If you join me on Supercast too, $5 a month gets you all of my podcasts censorship free. Just look in the description under YouTube where the green check mark is. Click onto that. $5 a month, you get all of my podcasts censorship free. So donate today. I like to make this a full-time commitment, and it takes people like you, my audience, and listeners like to share this stuff around, get the word out there, and help a fellow out. Anyway, carrying on again with my guest. We have some other questions here from Blue Apple, from Gil Gilbert. Sorry. Yep. JT Ford team and others to court overreaching. Yeah. Okay. I have heard of that. Sorry. Yeah. That's the thing. And where did our democracy come to? Where a lot of people, and I'm not discouraging anybody from suing somebody when there's an injustice, but where's our democracy come to when we have private citizens all of a sudden having to sue the government for proper fairness and treatment?
Yeah.
Like
that's expected because that's why they were elected. Right.
Well, that's
They're
the thing.
elected to work for the people, yet they think they're elected into being king or queen or what. Or we know Justine is queen, but they think they rule us. They think they own us. They don't. And that. But the sad part is that we have to go through that, suing them in courts, and you don't win anyway, because they're crying that they're standing behind a pandemic. They're still calling this a pandemic, and that they can overrule all of our rights and all of our freedoms, like the Charter of Rights and the Bill of Rights, or the Canadian Charter, the International Charter, and our Constitution. They step on all that. They step on the Nuremberg Code in the guise of a pandemic, of an infection that has a 99.9% survival.
Well, see, that's the thing. Survival rate, and regardless if my condolences to the family in BC that lost their infant, and my condolences to that 13-year-old girl too. But in the same sense, that's one out of how many. I could be hit by a transport truck when I go into town to get milk for my wife and I. I smoke cigarettes, so I'm taking a chance in my life too.
Me too.
I understand the fear and the complications, but I get that. But in the same sense, every time I turn on the mainstream media, it doesn't matter if it's CTV, CBC, Global, even our American stations too, my American listeners out there as well. You know, every time you watch the mainstream, the same thing: fear and fear and fear, in face fear. Where are the viable solutions? Okay, 1 minute, wash your hands. Don't wash your hands. Wear gloves. Don't wear gloves. Wear a mask. Don't wear a mask. Oh, you want to be intimate with your partner? Stick it in a goddamn hole in the wall. What is that? That used to be a running joke in teen comedies all the time. But now it's supposed to be sound advice.
And now put 2 masks on when having sex. Give me a break. Not unless they're Halloween masks. No, I think they're just people aren't seeing the stupidity of all this stuff, and that's what shocks me. Canada is chock full of educated university and college educated people. I have a grade 8, and I saw through this friggin' thing in 2 weeks. They're still buying into this. It's a pandemic, and they're running around all scared, wearing masks, driving their cars alone. Wearing masks. And come on, people, why are you buying into this fear? Realize, get on the internet, shut those damn TVs off, get on the internet and research things, because you're being lied to. And it's just sorry, I better shut up before I get your podcast taken off the air.
No, not a problem. Speak your mind. Like I say, my guest is Elle Sophia Rossetti.
I believe you're right. Yeah,
social activist.
They've gone too far. I suspect they are desperate. Yeah. Well, the problem too, Blue Apple, is they now have all this special power. Okay. Trudeau has the ability to raise any tax, anytime, anywhere, for any reason. All these politicians have special powers. The police have special powers. The health units have all these special powers, and none of them want to give them up. They don't want to say, okay, COVID's passed over now, and we're going to give up our special powers, and they won't do that. We're going to literally have to take them from them, whether it be through courts or whether it be through mass protests of millions of people, which I'm hoping will happen, because Canada has lost its testicles. The biggest protest Canada's had was in Montreal with 100,000 people. Come on, Canada. We can do better than this. You don't need to be afraid to go to protest. You don't have to smash cars or burn buildings. We don't do that. We have peaceful protests, but we
don't need to get to that point either. Too, we don't need to turn any Canadian city into Minneapolis or to New York City or Los Angeles. We don't need to do that. I would hate to see that.
Me too, because that's not the Canada I know. We peacefully protest. We speak our minds, but you don't hurt people. You don't burn down buildings. That's detrimental to what you're trying to do. You're trying to save the society we've built over the past 150, plus years. And they want to just destroy it all. And I'm not okay with that. And I will fight that. And basically, you know what? This time we stand up and take back those powers, because those powers belong to the people. There's no need for them to keep this going when it's basically been exposed. There's new Nuremberg trials happening in Europe currently as we speak. So, this is all stuff that I'm hoping will bring out to other people who are not informed to stand up with us and say, we want our country back. We want those powers back that you took.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and indeed, and all the more reasons to call election. I was invited to Calgary for this Saturday, but I recently just gained some new employment. So I don't want to tell my new employer that I'm sorry, I'm not interested. I'm going to go protest.
Yeah.
I would love to. I would honestly, maybe some other time, but I would love to speak at these rallies and just tell people it's like you have a choice. You have a choice. You always will have a choice. Doesn't matter if you vote blue or red or orange or green or VCP gold, not just to plug my party there, but you have a choice.
Yeah.
And to think about this, do you want to get up and go to work every day and be told when you can check in, when you can't check in? Every factory has its quota. There's certain quotas and tenders you have to follow.
Yeah.
That's fine. But then told where to drive, when you can have your lunch, where you can have your lunch, when you can kiss your loved ones, when you can be intimate with your partner, when you can take
go
your
see
kids
grandma.
Exactly. And you can dress it up all you want. Oh, it's the new normal. It's new normal. And yet you see these people enforcing the new normal, and yet they fly to Hawaii or Ireland or parts of the United States, look after their investments, or other parts of the Caribbean, look after their investments, while telling people, you and I, when we can wipe, when we can pick our nose, when we can think freely.
Yeah.
See, that sounds like 1984 to me. What about you, Elle?
Yeah. And now I'm hearing that we're being squeezed into these medical zones, and you're not going to be able to travel out of your medical zone without a note from your mom or whatever, or a note from someone, a boss or someone like this. And that to me is exactly what Hitler did in late 30s, early 40s, Nazi Germany. And basically I'm not okay with it. And I don't think Canadians should accept that. We are not in zones. We should be able to travel out of the province. But we're not allowed to, and we're being told no. So
exactly.
I think it's this all sucks, is what I think. And I'm watching my country go to crap. And I'm doing everything I can to wake people up and say, look, wake up. We have to stand up. And they're just, where's my vaccine? And I'm just fed up with it.
Well, where's my vaccine?
Yeah,
Someone tell me Mama said I had a face for radio. Exactly. My mama thinks I'm pretty. Yeah, exactly. So, sorry, folks. It's good to have humor in these troubling times. So whether you like my jokes or not, that's fine. That's up to you, my viewers and listeners. I'll say again today, my guest is Elle Sophia Rossetti, trans female, blogger, vlogger, truther, ex-YouTuber, patriot, and a yellow vester, one of the original yellow vesters dans le pays de Canada, based on the example that came from France. So please, if you have a question for Elle, let me know just in the comments section too. Keep it relatively clean, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care if you use an F-bomb or a C-bomb, but I won't tolerate any kind of bigotry or racial or sexist montages. Thank you.
And just know that if you fire something at me, I'll be firing back.
Exactly. She can hold her own, folks, too. That's not a problem, too.
I got lady balls,
See, I remember that commercial, too. Where it talked about ladies getting, and lady balls. And I remember the stink that came out of that. Oh, my God. How dare you compare that? And it's a figure of speech.
That's because women didn't want men to know. We just let them think they run the household. We run the household. Okay.
Oh, sometimes I concur. Where I grew up, my mother, wood with a wooden spoon. Jawohl. Okay. But in the same sense, she looked after things on the inside. Might look at things on the outside. And we were just kids going, okay, we'll go play outside now. That was it.
Yeah.
I just find there's too many people screwing with that regular dynamic as well, too.
Yeah.
I want to see, I want to see everybody flourish. I want people to thrive. I'm not harping for utopia. It's up to the individual to make that happen for themselves. But when you constantly put regulations and rules into the mix and tell people they have to think this way and talk this way, and don't be offensive here, and no, don't just say that because people might think this.
Yeah.
Well, who cares what they think? It's what they do.
But those things are all to divide us, right?
Yeah.
Those are all divisional tools that the government are using. They're right out of Hitler's playbook. And and I know I keep referencing Hitler is because what I'm seeing right now is Nazi Canada. Okay.
We're seeing totalitarian as
I'm
it's
seeing a
creeping.
state. I'm seeing unearthed powers that weren't given to them. They were just taken, especially with emergency acts in every province. Even 4 provinces that never had a case of COVID at the time, they put their emergency acts in place. And I'm just seeing it grow and grow. Okay, now we got variants. Variants! Right? Come on. Variants have been around since the beginning of friggin' flus. And all they mean is that the flu is now winding down. It's not all, it doesn't, rarely does you get a variant that's dangerous. But the new variants is the ones they are creating with their treatment.
With their hype and hoopla, to say.
Yes, their hype and hoopla. Yeah. I don't want to get into any deeper because I don't want your channel to get a strike. But understand something. We're being played. We're being played by people who want to keep power. And I don't mean office. I mean the power that they've been given to do what they do. And people like Doug Ford, he needs to be unseated. He's a fucking asshole.
And that's what gets me with Doug Ford too, because when he came in after what Wynne did to Ontario, and I remember when I went home for my mother's funeral, it was a somber time and all that, but I was still pretty optimistic on life, what have you, because my mother was sick for a while, and it was a tough go for myself and my sisters, but we overcame it, and we talked to some good people and had some great healing for some Native elders. It was fantastic. But I remember hearing on the radio how the Wynne Liberals at that time were looking in ways and doing like a little tour around parts of Ontario to find ways to increase taxation. And the ironic thing was, when we were sorting out our mother's stuff there, she had a car. It wasn't worth much. It was working, whatever. But my sister was trying to get rid of it. And I went down to Service Ontario office. Okay. Because I had to ask permission on how much GST I had to acquire from a potential sale. Right. And they said, okay, what are you selling the car for? And I said, probably like $300. So we sold to our cousin $300. No big deal. I had to tell my cousin it was going to cost her an extra $76 in GST for a private sale. And I looked at that thinking, what a shit show. Here is something that's already been bought and paid for. The PST has been paid for because my sister bought the car many moons ago. Yeah. So she paid the GST, the PST, whatever shipping tax they throw on it, because you always see these surcharges when you buy a vehicle in Ontario compared to Alberta, right? And just a lot of BS. And I'm sitting there thinking, what the fudge, honestly? And here's these government officials now touring the province to find more ways to tax you, right? So not only she blew the debt into that province, we're going to find more ways to incur more debt. And then we're going to blame the Conservatives for trying to be practical. Now the Conservatives are in, but now they're pulling the same thing when it comes to lockdowns. So which is the happy medium? Where's the difference in it? Blue and red are the same coin, basically.
Yeah. No, CPCs are just liberal lights. That's all they are. Doug Ford, I'm going to tell Trudeau off, and I'm going to do all. He's been kissing his ass ever since he got in. So basically, Doug Ford was really bad. I almost rather have seen his brother Rob Ford run for freaking premier. He would have done a better job.
Sure, but no, even though he was a raging coke addict, but still.
Yeah, and Doug Ford and Aaron O'Toole is another Doug Ford. He got in on the premise of, I'm a conservative, and all of a sudden, okay, well, you're going to be paying this carbon tax, but yet none of his MPs will recognize climate chaos.
But his carbon tax will be what they call the carbon savings account.
Yeah.
So they'll be putting the money away for you and me on behalf of the greener environment. So if we want to get ourselves a fancy e-bike or some fancy windows, that money would be there in our name.
Yeah, while they make interest off it, right?
It sounds like goddamn Columbia House 1 cent CD clubs. Remember those things back in the 90s?
Yeah.
We'll save this for you, and we'll give you lackluster products. Here you go. Oh, and by the way, you owe us another $50 because we threw these extra 4 or 5 CDs in for you, even though you don't want this music, but we figured you'd like it anyway.
Yeah.
Like that was my logic when I heard him speak that way. And I was very vocal. I criticized him on that. It's like, really? You want to abolish the tax because it's hurting the Canadian taxpayer, it's hurting businesses, especially farmers and people that truck stuff to market.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there saying, well, we're going to put away a savings account for you to do things greener. If you want to do things greener, let's get on China's case and parts of India's case when it comes to polluting their rivers and what they're doing to the atmosphere. There's an idea. The actual polluters, rather than the 1.6% that I guess Canada contributes on a global level, 1.6%, which is nothing. It'd be almost zero if you went back 100 years. Really, based on the industry, how it's changed, how we stopped burning coal and started using hydroelectricity, which was the big deal from Ontario Hydro 60 years ago. Oh, we can use dams, we can use current to generate power. Awesome.
Let's make nuclear power stations.
There's an idea. The only thing that's going to happen is that if you have a Chernobyl incident, but that was also based technology they refused to update.
Yeah.
Right. That was when the Iron Curtain refused to update their programs. They want to hold the proletariat because it works, yes? When it didn't. And it ended up killing how many thousands?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I would say nuclear is good, or even self-sufficiency. Why aren't we encouraging people to grow hemp? Look what you can make from hemp. Look what you can make from your own corn. How much fuel can you make? How much biodiesel can you make yourself? There are kits out there you can buy online to make your own biodiesel.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying everybody should convert to biodiesel, but the opportunity is there where you actually burn less fuel and use more of the elements around you.
Yeah. Right? I remember a show, Storage Wars, and Shipping Wars. And this one guy had a truck that ran off cooking oil. And he had certain restaurants along the paths of different places where he would get his oil from, and he poured in, and the truck ran on that oil. And what a greater way to use up old cooking oil that's being thrown out, and to douchebag the environment? No, put it in people's vehicles. I'm all for it. There's a lot of different technologies available. There's cars that run on water. There's cars that run on garbage. I've even heard. I can't remember what the other ones were.
Well, there's ways you can collect methane collection.
Methane,
you can look into as well. It maybe is a little unpredictable as propane, but we all have to use a bathroom one way or the other. And what way to collect, honestly, especially the bigger farms, the bigger agricultures, pig farms, chicken farms, beef farms, right? Dairy operations. Just think of the methane you can contain from just a regular pile of manure.
Yeah.
Interesting idea. Now, it may sound like Mad Max, but they were onto something.
Well, I think they're overlooking a lot of things because there's no money in it for them.
Well,
and
that's
they'd
the
rather
thing
have
too.
these stupid green, what do you call them? Fans? What are they called?
Turbines.
Turbines, yeah.
Wind turbines.
That are not only causing cancer in people and giving them the headaches and all this, killing animals like birds. They'd rather invest money in those stupid technologies and avoid other ones that actually, I still say they could make dams in every province that would build enough electricity that they could run the province and sell some to the US or whoever. There's solar power, but all the solar power farms in Ontario, most of them are owned by the Chinese, and that energy is being shipped back to China. And whatever's being sold to us is being sold to us at top dollar, right? That's from the sun. That was free. They got it free, and they're selling it to us at almost twice the price they were selling us nuclear generated energy. So, I mean, we're losing the war here. We need more Canadians to invest in technologies like the solar farms and stuff for Canada, and lower the prices of hydro, because basically Tesla would be rolling in his grave knowing that he came up with a way we could have hydro free, and they said no. And basically when he died, they took all of his paperwork, so nobody would be able to figure it out. But there was a doctor not long ago, an East Indian doctor, who's released these boxes that would give you 40 years of power for an entire house. and they fed off plants and stuff. Like every plant, every tree, everything has energy in it.
Mm-hmm.
And these things harvested that energy, and you could literally run a house on one of these boxes for 40 years. And they threw him into the middle of Iraq in the middle of the war. So, I mean, they don't want these out there because they want to tax you to death on the hydro and stuff we're getting now. Right? So, but they're not going to look at awesome technologies. It's just...
Well, they keep talking about this, the new green economy. Well, what green economy are you referring to? Biomass? That's just glorified burning.
Yeah.
That's no different than burning coal. Really?
What about the electric cars? What about these batteries that if they catch fire, they don't stop burning for hours? The fire department gives up on them and lets them burn out. So how is that good for the environment? And then trying to get rid of them because you have to change them every 5 years. So where do those batteries go? And, are they good for the environment? So really, some of the green technologies they're investing in are for money. It's not about an efficiency or
monopoly, of course, right?
Yeah, definitely.
If you wanted to set up, let's say, a windmill generator on your property, like by your home, and let's say you had enough kilojoules and enough wattage to support your lights, your stove, your fridge, your freezer, your water, everything else, and then all of a sudden you have a few joules left over, you should have a choice whether you want to give it to your neighbor or sell it to your neighbor.
Yeah. But
that would get the economy going very well.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing. That would get the economy going very well. I myself, if I was in that position, I would gladly share with my neighbors. In lieu of cash, I'd say, okay, well, if I give you so much electricity this month, how about next month you give me 20 extra rounds for my hunting rifle?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, great trade-off. Or you give me a case of beer. Stuff like that. Bring a sense of community there. And the thing being, what better way to be self-sufficient and to save your own money by generating your own electricity? So instead of paying $300 plus your carbon tax and sectional carbon tax and this tax for picking your nose and this tax for being alive, wow, you can put that $300 back into your home, or $300 into your kids' college training, or into a nice holiday for you and your loved one. See, there's a green technology that will kickstart personal economy because people will have more money they can get back themselves and then have the spending power to do as they effing will. But instead, we have to have these overseers saying, we understand this and we understand that. And it's like, well, show us. Give us the schematics and what can be done. Show us. Give us this access so we can build our own and do things our way. I'm not saying put a reactor in your backyard by the fire. I'm sure there might be schematics out there for that too.
Yeah, but you got to think of your neighbors when you're doing anything.
That's the thing. If I'm away on holiday and there's a meltdown, I don't want my friend Bob to come and put out a fire thinking it's a fire when it's a nuclear meltdown.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I see Bob again. He's got 2 fingers in his head. Hey, how was the trip? You know what I mean? But in the same sense, responsibility belongs to us too.
Yeah.
That's one of the campaign ideas we have with the VCP. It's like, give it to the people. Let them decide. Give it to these monopolies and these rackets when it comes to dairy production. There's still quite a racket when it comes to grain production too, even though they got rid of the wheat board. But I don't want to see farmers have to pay ridiculous high taxes for heating their product to bring to market, for warming their product, for cleaning it. Like, come on now. Really, No,
but I think that you're right there. The barter system is it's a good way. And I learned that when I went to BC, actually, about bartering, how you can work it to your advantage. I think more people need to start doing that and stop, going to places like Walmart and all this stupid stuff. Don't give them your business. Try and barter with friends who have, vegetables or meat from a cow they raised or whatever, and, barter. That's how we can avoid giving Walmart so much bloody money and support your local stores. Any little businesses that are open right now who've had the balls to open against this lockdown, support them. Go there, shop there. Even if you have to spend a few more dollars than you would have spent at Walmart, it's worth it because you're supporting those who basically are a big part of our economy. Small business is a huge part of our Canada's economy.
Oh, big time.
And they just want the big box stores to win because the big box stores have paid them off. But we have the choice to take that power from the politicians by not going to the Walmarts and not going to the superstores. Let's go to the small shops and let's barter with our friends instead. And that
Exactly.
came from
No, I agree with that. Randy Joy, one volcanic eruption in Iceland over a 4-day period, starting 21st of March last year, and I remember that, emitted more CO2 than all human activity released in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, to anybody that studied, simple geometrics, what have you, we all took those lessons in high school. How a volcano works, and what this. Basically, the earth burps, okay? People pay for it.
Yeah. But the thing, too, is like you said on your last show, trees eat fucking carbon. They turn carbon into oxygen. It's like, what the fuck? Like, grow up.
Well, see, that's
Carbon
the thing.
crisis. Give
You
me a
put 2
fucking break.
trees in your yard.
They're
You get
taking
yourself
pollution and calling it carbon.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. And they're blaming us for it when they are responsible by giving carbon credits to the biggest polluters in the industry, which are the major polluters. And I'm including pulp mills in that because I lived in BC and, they are very bad polluters. And they're all given carbon credits, right? It's a scam. It's all a scam. And then they blame the little guy, you and me, for having a fucking fire in our backyard or a barbecue.
Or for me filling up my truck or you filling up your car.
Exactly.
Filling up my chainsaw, whatever. It's like, oh my God, you're putting bad things while I'm smoking cigarettes in my house.
Yeah.
In a house that I pay for every month.
Yeah.
Via mortgage, something I've earned, something I merited, I think. That's the magic word, meritocracy, because it works. Yeah. Please, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions for myself or Sophia, do not hesitate to ask. We are an open book here. We don't care if you swear. We don't care if you say this, say that. Just no bigotry, no sexism, and just no BS. It's just a matter of trying to be realistic and good to people, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and tonight my guest is Elle Sophia Rossetti. Genuine, down-to-earth human being. Recently just had an operation that made her a female. Congratulations once again, Elle, on that. She's a truther, blogger, and critic, and all-around patriot, and all-around decent human being. Please direct your questions to us if you can. This is the Thursday Fastball with Crusty Canuck. And if you like and hear what you see, you can follow Elle at the BitChute address at the bottom of your screen. Or if you feel like following me and contributing to my cause, please check out crustycanuck.ca at donations. You want to give, you can give. You don't have to. That's fine. I'm not going to sit here and demand cash for a half-assed dance. I'd like to make this a full-time commitment, but it takes viewers and fans such as yourself to make that happen. So please consider giving today. There's other ways you can follow me too on Supercast, directions or just in the description on YouTube. Look at the Supercast link with a green check mark. Check that out there. For $5 a month, you can see my mug or hear my mug on every one of my podcasts, censorship free. That's right, censorship free. We know how big tech and other companies want to start censoring people. Check me on Supercast. Join today, $5 a month to get all of my podcasts. And I'm also working on doing videos and podcasts at the same time. I've got some video software. So every time I do a podcast, you might see my mug screaming in the big microphone, laughing at the government as we speak. So, hey, tune in and subscribe today and share this around if you can, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we're getting some more people coming out. And don't be shy, folks. Ask us anything you want to know.
I posted this on my profile, so hopefully we'll get more viewers that way. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think we really need to dig deep and look at how we're doing things, because we are sitting here mad at these corporations that are being allowed to do this, and then we're going there shopping there. Like I was in Walmart today. Shame on me. But everything else is pretty much closed, right? So they've
that's the thing. They're herding people into that.
Yeah. Well, they're deciding what's essential. Who the fuck are they to decide what's essential for us? It's I don't know.
Thank you, Mark. Not to interrupt you, Sophia. Thank you, Mark. Please, people, share this stuff around. We need more subscribers like you. Viewers and subscribers that watch my show, you guys are awesome. Why? Because you listen to what I have to say. And I'm very, very grateful for your attention. But please, share this around. Share this all over the place if you can, please. Anyway, you're saying, Elle. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, I think we need to dig deeper and start finding better ways to not going to Walmarts and superstores. We cannot defeat an enemy we're feeding, right? And that's how I've been telling people for a long time. And then I'm sitting here going to fucking Walmart. But like I say, they're shutting down all of our small businesses. The ones that are open are curbside delivery only. And it's just not efficient service because you can't go in and look around at what you want to buy, right? You have to know up front. And I don't know. It's very, and they're basically telling us what's essential or not. And the only poetic justice, I saw a meme on Facebook. It was actually a picture of a Walmart, a rack full of masks, and it was roped off as non-essential. And I went, yes, that's exactly it. They are non-essential.
Sweet irony, eh?
Yeah. But
Yeah,
they roped off diapers, baby diapers. Like, how can they be non-essential? You don't reuse diapers, so what the fuck?
Well, then
What
fine,
did they think?
cut some rags together and wash them
Yeah,
yourself, like our parents used to have to. You
yeah,
know. I remember disposable diapers used to be a big environmental issue back in the 80s and 90s because people were finding them in sewage ways and clogging pipes and stuff,
yeah.
right? So you get some people there who like the convenience, and we're all creatures of convenience.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of the bartering, and I really appreciate the idea of people just saying enough is enough, right? Don't go to those big stores. Demand the mom and pop shops open up too.
Yeah.
And if need be, the bigger stores should be rallying, saying, no, let's open these stores up too to get some healthy competition here.
Yeah.
To me, that's excellent business commerce when you think about it.
Definitely.
Because they probably give them incentive. Okay, we're going to take $1 off this bottle of this or this bottle of that. Oh, wow, great. You want to help people out, get people working again. That's the thing. Get people back their dignities, their jobs.
And who are we to bitch when we're sitting there feeding them, right? And I've been trying to get people to realize that for the last couple of years that I've seen this all coming. And I said right before the virus hit, I said, the way they're going to get people to submit is to lay a threat to their health. And sure as shit, it happened a few months later. And I'm just like, why did I fucking say that? Do I encourage shit or what?
Well, that's the thing. We don't encourage it. We're encouraging basic freedom and principles, basic liberties again. We understand there's a pandemic out there, yes, and it's hurting people, but we also finding ways to innovate to overcome that too. Okay, I'll tell people, okay, want to wear a mask? Fine, wear a mask. But the moment I'm out of that store, I take that thing off like it's a dirty habit. I'm so tired of it because I don't want any more BS when I go shopping. I want to go do my business, do my thing. That's it. I don't need any more slack. I don't want someone 17 years of age to have up to come on me and saying, excuse me, sir, you got to maintain your social distancing. And it's like, no, I don't want that. I don't care if it's from a 17-year-old kid or somebody who's 57 years of age saying, you must do this. No, sorry, I've got things to do.
When the fuck did stores become having their own laws and like their own law enforcement, and it all became when Doug Ford made the Emergency Act and he brought out the what you call the bylaw that we all had to follow. Rocco Galati fought him on it and made sure that there was exemptions for people who could not wear masks on there. So what Doug Ford did to get around that was to tell the stores, just don't accept the exemptions. Tell them no mask, no entry. So he's given stores the power of law that they don't have. They don't have the power of law. And they know we have to sue them individually. And
I saw that through the home hardware story that the Menzies did with Rebel Media there. They're giving them a hard time because they said mask exemptions are welcome. We understand mask exemptions, but then these employers are coming out saying, oh, no, you can't come in. Okay, well, fine. Then you're jeopardizing your business because now you're on a media platform displaying to the world that you've evoked this line or else, or okay. So people might go to Rona. People will go to a private lumber yard later on or a private hardware store and say, okay, screw you. If you're going to treat people like that, all in the name of safety, then I'll get my lumber elsewhere, regardless of how expensive it is, or I'll get my hardware stuff or paint elsewhere. You're encouraging me to actually look after the little guy now because of this jurisdiction. So in a way, they're screwing themselves too.
Yeah, right? Definitely. And Mark, thanks for joining us. And
yes, appreciate that, Mark Dietz. Thank you very much. Not a problem. Everyone's welcome here to throw in your question, 2 cents worth. Please, I encourage it. Everyone, please don't be shy. Ask us anything you'd like to know. So we did have a lot of subscribers. I don't know where they're going now. Maybe they don't like my swearing.
They come and go, I find, but I'm going to be posting this if I'm allowed to on all my platforms.
Oh, not a problem. Not a problem. Yes, I encourage it.
I'll download it once I'm finished here, and then we can get more views.
What I can do is send you the link. I'll send you the link via your email.
Okay.
Yeah, once this is downloaded, so we can get that sorted out for you. Not a problem. Yes, I encourage all my viewers and listeners, please share this around. Help the algorithm out. Let's independent folk get our words out there too. Right. I'm also available every Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, too. Fans of the Crusty Canuck podcast. I also host the Sunday Fastball with my compatriot Adam Daniel Mazet, where we'll sit and take political and social and national issues and sit and dissect them with a very, very gifted panel of individuals. Chris Semchuk, Gabriel Scheer, Mike the Pipe Boss, and others. So please tune into that every Sunday at 4 p.m. live on Facebook and YouTube, where you see me, Adam Daniel Mazet, and the previous mentioned sit and discuss and analyze political, social, and national issues that strike us today. So tune into that every Sunday, Sunday Fastball, hosted by the Crusty Canuck podcast. And we carry on. My guest tonight is Elle Sophia Rossetti, truther, video producer, all-around great gal, patriot, and she'll stand with Justin Trudeau toe-to-toe, kind of like the Trudeau thing.
He doesn't want to stand toe-to-toe with me.
She'll kick your ass.
No, I kick his ass in 2 seconds. No, he's a flake. Him and his stupid boxing gloves. Shove him up his ass.
And his socks.
Yeah, he's just, every time I see him, I just want to punch my computer screen because he's such a puke.
I have honestly tried to make the effort to actually listen to everything he said, and what was the cherry on top for me, where I really stopped trying, was when he told that veteran in February of 2018. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, ladies and gentlemen, Brock Blazernick, Corporal Blazernick, he was seriously wounded in Afghanistan. Lost one leg, lost the use of another leg. He has, therapy and everything like that to help him along the way. Mm-hmm. And when he talked down to him and told him that you're asking for more than we're able to give, that just did it for me. I said, okay, I am done with you guys. I never liked the Liberal brand when it comes to looking after the military or our veterans. No. But that just basically, that was the straw that broke the camel's back with me, with this party and that clown. Yeah. And I still try to listen to what he has to say. It's just every time he sits there, he's very, very condescending, like Miss Freeland, mm-hmm. tilting the head, talking like this, kind of like how a dog does when you're trying to throw it a biscuit, bragging about her new shoes when she delivered that half-assed budget. Oh, I've got these great shoes. Like, who the fuck cares?
But she's bragging about buying shoes that we're not allowed to buy because we can only buy fucking food.
Exactly. We can't go to Walmart and buy these shoes because they're not essential.
Well, yeah, so she's shoving it in your face. And it's like, you fucking peons. I got brand new shoes in Toronto where you're not allowed to buy them because fucking I am somebody and you're all nobodies. Yeah. Fuck you, bitch. Give me 1 minute in a ring with her, too. Let me tell you. Pop. Like, and I can do it now. I'm female. It's female on female. It's fair.
Yeah. Well, you can identify as a boxer,
Yeah.
Who was previously male. You can identify as
Yeah. No, I don't like her at all. She's from a globalist family. And so there's only one way to go with her, and that's globalism. Mm-hmm. And the snowflake they stuck me with in the hospital, I was stuck beside for 2 fucking days. And let me tell you, Crusty, there are a lot of stupid things this person said, but the last thing this person said before I said, okay, we have nothing left to talk about, was we're talking about globalism. I said, well, but they want a one world government, a one new world order. And he goes, well, they had it on Star Trek. It worked just fine. It took everything I had not to yank that idea to my arm and go through that curtain and choke that motherfucker. That stupid bitch, let me tell you. Oh, my God. Come on. Really? Star Trek? Are you kidding me?
Don't mess with my beloved Trek. Hey,
we have nothing left to talk about. Just shut the fuck up, you snowflake.
Well, you remember it was about a year and a half ago, the big speech that the Governor General had with the Prime Minister, talking about the space-time continuum. And I listened to that, and I did an episode of that many moons ago. And I asked my audience, what the F does that mean? The space-time continuum. Now, if you're watching Stargate and Star Trek and Star Wars, like I love my sci-fi, and I'm guilty. I love my Trek. I've been a Trekkie since, Christ was a cowboy, since I was about 5 years old.
Yeah.
And it's a great story. And yes, when you look at Earth and how it united against all of these internal problems, and now they're venturing out in space and it's a great story. But even in that story too, there are still governments on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
There are still governing bodies, not just a governing body, but governing bodies.
Yeah.
So, but still, I'll never use Star Trek as a metaphor in any kind of political speech because it's a story. I might as well use something from Han Solo or what Chewie says.
Yeah. Or Little Red Riding Hood or some shit.
Exactly. I'm going to go see my grandma with other people's food. Like,
oh, but you can't. You might give her COVID.
Oh, exactly.
Thanks, Praying Albertan, by the way.
Yes, thank you, Praying Albertan. The comments, please, ladies and gentlemen, send your comments our way. My guest tonight is Elle Sophia Rossetti, blogger, truther, video creator, bit shooter, all around Canadian, and Patriot. So please feel free to ask us anything you'd like to know.
And if you want to know, my YouTube channel was taken, so you won't be able to see me on the tube anymore.
Yes, you have to find her on BitChute there, ladies and gentlemen.
BitChute, Rumble, Brighton, NewTube. I'm on a whole different host of video platforms and all the other social media platforms. I'm always linking my videos to, which this will be on as well. So this is going to get a lot of views, and as it should, because people need to wake the fuck up.
I agree.
Wasting all my time doing all these fucking videos that get 200 views when I had 2,600 subscribers. And it's like, who am I really reaching here? I'm not reaching anybody. And we all need to take videos that we find are informative and share those on your social media platforms. It doesn't matter if they give you a strike and don't let you post for a few days. So what? You got that video out there and people might have seen it. That might have changed their minds. We got to take chances here, folks. These social media platforms are not worth being on if they're going to tear down the truth and hide and censor the truth and facts. And we have facts that go against everything that's going on right now, and they're censoring them so that sheeple or people who don't know what's going on don't see what's going on. They don't want that. So we need to keep sharing, keep pushing links. There's so many great YouTubers, great Canadian YouTubers, great American YouTubers who are trying to tell you what's up. They're giving you the truth. They're all over BitChute. They're all over Brighton. They're all over all these great platforms. Fuck YouTube. YouTube's the thing of the past, right? YouTube are obsolete because they went against their own platform. They told us, come on our platform, be a creator, be a voice. And then the minute you are, you lose your platform. Right?
It's getting there, isn't it? Yeah.
It's there. And they've removed over 500,000 channels who have gone against this agenda that's happening. So I don't mind losing my channel. It was a badge of honor because I'm in with a group of people who also lost their channels, who were also doing what I was doing, which is telling the truth. A lot of people like Rance Derrick, look at InfoWars, look at Faith Goldie. All these people lost their channels. Stefan Molyneux, like there was a ton of them who had their channels taken because they were standing up against this nightmarish takeover of our country, and they're using this situation to do it. And Justin Trudeau even admitted it in his speech to the UN when he said, "This COVID is a great vessel to create the Great Reset, basically." And the Great Reset is your enslavement. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Right? No, I won't. You're not taking fuck all from me. You're not giving me a vaccine and you're not taking my shit. I own my dog. My sister owns her car and her house. Fuck you. Right? So no, you're not doing this. And people are going to realize it too late because they're not informing themselves. That TV is the worst thing ever. Okay, turn it off. Go on the internet. Look shit up because I'm telling you right now, you're being lied to, and we are all being.
Or if you have one of these, ladies and gentlemen, please. I've got about 600 of these here in my office. Encyclopedias.
Encyclopedias, yeah.
If you can find a set of encyclopedias, by all means, ladies and gentlemen, use them to the best of your advantage. There's nothing wrong with that too. We can still read, hopefully.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. And I'm guilty when it comes to grammar and diction because, we're always doing the keyboard warrior thing.
Yeah.
I looked at my handwriting the other day and I'm going, wow.
Yeah.
So see, but that's my imperfection I'm going to work on too, to improve, to do better. And because of that little practice I do, my grammar gets better because stuff we were taught as children, when to put a period here, when to use exclamations, when to use commas, and colon and semicolon, all those other ones. So that helps.
I do all that, but I type a sentence and most of the words have red squiggly lines under them because I fucked up somewhere.
So I remember having to note, you had your weekly work to your English teacher, and then you get the whole 6 and 7, 6 out of 10, see me, and then you see this person, and then you have to listen to them as they're explaining this point to you, and they probably have the worst coffee and cigarette breath on the planet. Like almost they were French kissing a dumpster or something like that. And you're sitting there trying not to hurl because they have such terrible breath, trying to correct your grammar. And you tried really hard to understand that, but you just couldn't because their breath smelled so stanky.
Yeah.
So you missed out on that. But then again, because of the internet, we have these machines that can help us with our grammar and what have you. So, which is good. So I encourage my listeners and viewers out there alike to please invest. If you see a deal on encyclopedias, pick them up. They're a great source of information too. Maybe a bit longer than doing the Wikipedia thing or Googling something, but you'll thank yourself in the end too, especially some of the newer encyclopedias that come from the early 90s. My edition ends in 1991, but I don't think fascism has a new meaning since then. It usually means the same thing. So does communism. Talk to anybody who lived in former Eastern Europe, and they will tell you. And I got the proof of that too.
Yeah.
I had an interview with Susanna there last year, and recently, a few weeks back, to Artur Pawlowski, the parishioner that's being persecuted by AHS and the Calgary Police Services as we speak.
Yeah.
So look into that too. Anyway, my guest tonight is Miss Elle Sophia Rossetti, bit shooter, blogger, vlogger, patriot, all around decent effing Canadian. Please ask us anything you'd like to know, ladies and gentlemen. And if you like and hear what you see, please consider donating to the Crusty Canuck podcast. $5 a month. When you join my Supercast page, we'll get you uncensored content via the people at Supercast. And they're also Canadian too. They're out of Vancouver. And they do have offices in Los Angeles, but they're predominantly a Canadian company. So not only are you supporting a Canadian podcaster in the patriotic sense, you're also supporting a Canadian company too. So check out Supercast. It's in my description. Just follow the green check mark. Click on that. Join. $5 a month gets you every one of my episodes every month, censorship free. So, like I said, my guest tonight is Sophia Rossetti. Elle Sophia Rossetti.
I just wanted to say about encyclopedias too, and the great thing about them is the left cannot scrub them. They cannot scrub the truth out of those. Those are books are written, and you basically when you're on the internet, they can scrub something right in the middle of reading it, and it's gone, and that's it. These encyclopedias, they're giving you the information.
Exactly. They're there. They're right
as
there.
It was at that time, but they cannot be changed or scrubbed. You'll always have that information to show people like your grandkids and your kids who will need that information because everything they're going to be reading is fake.
Or manufactured for the political doctrine.
Yeah.
So I got a question from a Deborah Bolin. Great video so far. Would like to ask, what is the VCP's position on police reform? I'll take this over, Elle, if you can intervene. My personal position on police reform is this simple: proper training, proper range time, and proper regulation of duty. Now, as a former soldier, we had every opportunity to question an unlawful command. And as far as I know, every municipal, provincial, and federal police service has the same ability. I have good friends of mine in my circle, men I played hockey with, men I served with, people I still talk to today that are police officers. And I know for a fact that they don't take part in these protests. Actually, one guy I talked to was actually suspended because he questioned his authority. He questioned his boss's authority. So he got 3 days dismissed. He's not getting 3 days pay right now. I think it was last week. I think he's back to work. But anyway, long story short, and out of protection and privacy, these are good men and women. Okay, I support police efforts when there's a crime. when things has to be done when it comes to serving community. I don't tolerate what they're doing right now in Peterborough, in Toronto, in Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver. Okay. I'm not so worried too much about what's going on in the United States or in Europe. Okay. My hearts are out to my fans out there too, but I'm worried about Canadian policies and Canadian issues. And when it comes to reforming, I'm not saying reform. I'm not going to buy this defund the police. If a police officer makes a mistake, he or she has to own it. That's simple. If they do it with due negligence, then they have to be fired.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
And see, right? we're in a town though that you got to understand. I live in the same town as Deborah Boylan, and we are in a town where the law makes its own rules. They decide what's lawful and what's not. They're not going by a police manual that they're supposed to, and they're certainly not following their oath. Mm-hmm. And this is why we have such a problem. And we see what's going on in Toronto and Montreal and Ottawa and other places like that. Mm-hmm. And we can relate because we're under the same tyranny of police who are breaking their oath to fulfill unlawful commands and orders against the people they are hired to protect. Mm-hmm. And this is a problem in Canada right now, a huge problem.
And that's the thing. And like I say, I got a lot of respect for cops because they're doing 12-hour shifts at a time. And, you know, I never trained as a police officer, but I've done security debts. I have security training when it comes to writing notes and writing reports and returns. And it can be very, very mundane. And you need that excitement to make your job that much easier in the sense, because it validates your position as a police officer, as a patrolman, or as, you know, whatever you're doing in the police service. Mm-hmm. But when that chaos ensues, it's up to you, the individual, to bring the order back, to make sure that the criminal does get apprehended. He or she commits a crime, you witness it, you're in the slammer. Okay.
Whether they're cop or not, it doesn't matter who they are.
That's the thing too. And like I say, I'm not disenfranchising police officers, not at all. Like I say, a lot of them are friends of mine. I know of some great cops that look after their families, they pay their taxes, they pay their bills. And a lot of it comes with training. But the moment someone starts throwing race into this or the marginalization, I just can't. No, I don't buy that, because I've worked with a lot of variety of people, all colors, all creeds. I don't buy this racism mandate whatsoever. And I don't believe cops are racist. There might be the odd bigot in the crowd, but that's like one out of how many thousands we have in uniform in this country.
Canada hasn't got a race problem, a racism problem. They're creating it just by saying it. But
I would say there's a victimhood problem, you know.
Randy, I did a video about C10.
Yes.
And saying exactly who is running that whole operation. And I got 150 views on that video. That's how much people gave a fuck. I'm going to re-release another video. Maybe I just didn't do a great job on that video, but they have handpicked a group, and I'm not saying who, to oversee Bill C10 and what is acceptable online and what is not. This is not done by Canadians. It's not done by an impartial panel. This is done by people who are out to take over this country. And they want to censor us on all platforms and on all internet traffic. And that, in fact, pretty soon, they're going to be introducing this internet license they were talking about. Legault was talking about it, I think, 2 years ago, and there was a huge backlash about it. Yeah, and he backed off and said, no, we're not going to do that. But they're putting it in this Bill C10. And it's all going to be part and parcel of shut the fuck up, Canada. We tell you what you can say when you can say it.
Well, that's the thing. You get the CRTC in there too, regulating it, just like you regulate a TV show. And it's like, well, what's this for? So when I look at C10, why would anyone want to table such ridiculous legislation? Honestly.
Well, to shut down anyone talking against COVID or anyone talking against any other agendas that are happening right now.
Yes, don't you dare criticize the government. Oh no, no, of course not. You know, what's the agenda? Here's a minority government that's getting some subtle support from Les Blocs and the NDP.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we know there's an election that might be called because they're all harping to save their jobs, and they will do whatever it takes to stay at their comfy little seat in the comfy little House of Commons. But they all forget one thing. The House of Commons in Old English means the house of the people. Mm-hmm. House of the people. Okay.
That's our house.
And our parliamentary system was based on the people, just like the Republic was based on the people in the republic system.
Mhm.
Okay. Two different systems, but democratic, pro-democratic. And what gets me, the Sun did a pretty good story on that. Brian Lilly had a good talk with the PC candidate out of Lethbridge. I forget her name. But it was just an honest discussion on how ridiculous it is. And why is this? I would like to see more of the Queen's opposition stand up and get in the streets with us and say, hey, C10, no go.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
Who's going to
C10 is communism.
What's deemed hate speech? What's deemed as belligerence? What is deemed this? Because someone doesn't like your opinion. I deal with people all the time who don't like my opinion. I encourage my viewers and listeners out there, write me an email. If I'm wrong about something, then correct me or engage me in debate. But the moment you start throwing insults at me, call me names, as far as I'm concerned, the debate's over and you're open for free reign. Mm-hmm. Right? That's the thing. Yeah. So, like they used to say, you don't like the smell of poop? Get out of the fucking barn.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Bill C10 is communism, and that's all it is.
Well, it's censorship. It's just like the same BS they tried to us in high school by letting certain books not be read because it has this connotation or it reminds this or it says that. No, let us read.
Yeah.
Let people be. You don't have to watch our shows. We all have a choice still. Mm-hmm. You don't want to watch you don't want to watch television? Turn it off.
Yeah.
You don't like that book? Well, you don't have to read it. Exactly. If you have the receipt, take it back to Kohl's and get a refund if you can.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We're being herded like children. And what gets me is these so-called educated officials are sitting here trying to promote this crap, thinking that, oh, this is democratic. We're doing this to save people. It's about safety. You want safety, wear a hard hat, wear some goggles, wear some steel-toed boots, wear a sweater when it's cold inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like I'm dumbfounded. So when I look at C10, I'm not even going to really discuss it because it's just bullshit. It is. Yeah. It's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
It's pure communism. Mm-hmm. Totalitarianism.
But they're passing it, and that's the problem. Mm-hmm. And it's taking away our rights to stand against what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But if they attack Christianity, Christianity goes underground. If they attack our free speech goes underground. They never stop it. They can't stop it. It's like they attack the white supremacists. They just went underground, and basically they're still operating. They're still there. They're not going to crumble and die because Justin Trudeau, the feminist, doesn't want them around.
Well, he's a fake feminist to start with, too.
Yeah, I know. So
his whole party's fake. It's based on parody. It's not based on anything substantial, but parody.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part. But thank you very much, Randy, for that comment. Yes.
Yeah.
C10 definitely. Is a joke. It's to my viewers out there and listeners out there, C10 is basically a bill to table legislation to let people tell you what to watch and do, what you can write and not write online, what you can read, what you can say. So basically, it's a totalitarian bill. Yeah, or published.
Like videos, anything like that. All of us people are going to be under the scrutiny of CRTC and Google and other entities hired by the government, like the Army, the RCMP, and local police are watching everything we do online. Stalin gave it a good try.
He really tried. He tried really hard. He's just misunderstood.
But I get the feeling that we're not just dealing with Stalin anymore. We are dealing with globalism that has more money than you can friggin' imagine. Because they own the IMF and all the central banks. These people are born with banks in their name. And these are the people we're fighting. And they have the power to pay everyone to shut us down. And MSM is shutting us down by calling us fake news or calling us, anti this and anti that. So we have to fight MSM by getting people to stop watching it.
Well, it brings me to the point too where Patty Haydu, Miss Graphic Designer / Health Official, bringing out my inner Poland, full steam ahead, talking about how vitamin D and zinc are deemed as fake news. Yeah. And I remember my own personal physician said, keep it handy. Okay. And this was in just before we had one hell of a cold winter this past winter. And I kept it handy. And ironically enough, I didn't get sick. Go figure. So, I'm not going to sit here and try to count my lucky stars, but I would sooner listen to an actual practicing medical doctor than any graphic designer with an appointment or any doctor that hasn't practiced medicine for the better part of 10 years. telling me that vitamin D and zinc are considered to be fake. In other words, fake news. Don't take this. Like I heard it in the Joe Rogan podcast. I heard Dr. Peterson talk about it. I heard some American outlets, some American friends discuss it, and they're good to go. They take vitamin D and zinc every other day.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
And
I
see,
take
that's the
vitamin
thing.
C and zinc. Yeah,
Yeah. And what's the problem? What is the problem?
they don't want you to be healthy, so they're trying to tell people, "Oh, don't worry about that." They're just conspiracy theorists talking about vitamins. Come on, that can't stop the mighty COVID.
Even though 10 years ago, you'd always see adverts for Flintstone vitamins or Jameson vitamins. Oh, take your vitamins, kids. Yeah, you're right.
But a healthy immune system helps beat flus and colds. That's how you build an immune system, is being attacked by flus and colds.
Exactly.
You build immunity to them, and
exactly.
People are now living in a bubble. They're wearing masks. They're not talking to people, and they're not taking vitamin D and vitamin C and zinc that are very important. And just to add something here, something that helps stop a certain flu, and I'm not going to mention which one. It's called Schweppes tonic water, and it's got an ingredient called quinine in it, which is part of what hydroxychloroquine is made of. And you take that with 50 milligrams of zinc every day, and that will help you prevent catching flus. So just a word to the wise. Yeah, no, I do. I was drinking it, and then I had to quit because of my surgery, but I'm going to start drinking it again, and I take my zinc, and zinc helps the blood to absorb better. It creates better.
It's both good for your bones, and your bones. If you don't have good bones, your immunity is compromised because your foundation gets compromised. It's the same principle as building a house. You have to have a good, solid foundation before you build a home. So you treat your body like a home.
Yeah,
keep the foundation up.
Vitamin D is important because of what they're spraying in our air every day. Those contrails. Is blocking sunlight, and they're blocking the vitamin D we get from the sun naturally. So it's important that people take vitamin D. It's not a matter of stopping COVID. It's a matter of a healthy immune system. And we're missing a very crucial vitamin D because of what they're doing up there that people are totally either unaware of or ignoring because they think it's conspiracy theory.
Exactly.
And the government has a website admitting they're doing it, yet people still calling it conspiracy theory. This is how fucked up we are, Crusty.
Oh, because they love the comfort. There are people that are going to be reliant on the UBI and the CERB payments. But people forget, too, that the CERB payments are going to have its penalties. The CRA even said so. Yeah. So you and I both know those things as free money. Heck, I pay taxes on my pension. I'm supposed to get this much. And then when I look at my pension receipt, it's shy $650 due to taxes. Yeah. Oh, okay. And then you send me another bill in the mail saying I owe back taxes from whenever, which I prove false, by the way. So they're digging, scraping at the barrel, looking wherever they can to find more money out of the Canadian citizens. Right. Yeah. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, my guest tonight. Oh, sorry.
Anyone getting CERB should keep a third of every check because they're coming back to take it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's the thing. And that's the thing, too. I'm not condemning anybody who needed it. By all means, you need it. It's there. I can take it. But the UBI that they're tabling right now is more or less promoting, I'm going to rely on the government's Tate because the government knows what's best for me and they love me. No, they don't.
No. And what pisses me off is they want to change CPP to UBI. And I'm not okay with that because CPP is not some government fucking handout. We pay into that when we are working. They take it out of our fucking checks so that when we get old or if we get injured or something, it's there for us.
That's it. Yeah. When you hit 65, it's supposed to be there for you to help you.
Exactly. So they have no right taking that and making it into a universal basic income. That's bullshit. And I will fight that.
I would say take 30% of their pay just to start first.
Yeah.
And I'd say if elected for the VCP in my area, I'm willing to petition that. And if they won't take my pay, then I will give it to people that need it. There's 3 charities I can think of right now at the top of my head that would love an extra $1,000 a month, and I would be more than happy to give it to them. The local Legion in my area and 2 of the food banks, Edmonton and Calgary, look after vets. I would gladly give them $1,000 a month or more. That's if I was elected. But helping people out. If more of our federal leaders did that, I think the taxpayer would see more incentive. Okay, we see what you're doing. Okay, good. You actually give a shit about what you're doing rather than worrying about your paycheck and your comfort, right? So my guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is Miss Elle Sophia Rossetti, bit shooter, vlogger, former YouTuber,
Former YouTuber.
anyway, truther, patriot, former yellow vester, and just an all-around decent human being. You can find Elle at the bit shoot and other comments or other connections to her link there at bitshoot.com channel. You can see there. I can't repeat that's all like radio code. But yes, you can find Elle here at the address at the bottom of your screen. And if you like and hear what you see, please consider donating to the Crusty Canuck podcast today. You can find my links in the description on the YouTube channel and on my Facebook page. And please pay attention to the community page on YouTube and my Facebook page for updates on upcoming episodes. This Sunday, I will be hosting the Sunday Fastball with my good friend Adam Denham-Mazet, Canadian actor extraordinaire. We usually have a panel on with Chris, Gabriel, Mike the Pipe Boss, all those other good guys who sit and talk about political blunders and social blunders that are affecting us Canucks today. So please tune into that every Sunday, 4 o'clock, the Sunday Fastball, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on YouTube and on Facebook. Right. Like I say, my guest is Elle Sophia Rossetti, all-around great Canadian, educated individual, well-adjusted, and really sane. You know,
thank you.
Did you ever think of actually running into politics yourself there, Elle?
Yeah, I'm actually starting to give that thought now that I've had my surgery and I'm finished that part. I didn't want to be a transgender candidate. I just, to me, that's a label. And it's something I would rather them vote for me for my politics or the party politics that I'm running with than the fact that I'm was transgender. These are labels we need to get rid of. So now I can just run as Elle, female candidate, and I'm thinking about it. I'm giving it serious thought because this area hasn't got a candidate with the VCP or a couple, other parties. So, I mean, just teasing you. Well, no, I have considered. I just have a few issues I have to work out right now, and then I'm going to talk with Randy. And hopefully, I would love to get Randy back on. I had him on my show, about a year ago now, I think, almost close to. And it was an amazing chat. And then, Randy, I'd love to get you back on again because your party needs more exposure, and you don't seem to be very much active in the arenas where these other people are, like Twitter and all that, because it's such bullshit. So every chance you get to promote the party is good, but I want to get you on for a little more raw chat this time, a little more uncensored. And, I know you have to worry about certain issues, so I have to keep my language nice and stuff, but I would do it. I'd love to have Randy back on. He's such a great down-to-earth guy, and I really think he'd do such a great job in the House of Commons if he was elected to get in there and make some change. And, I really do believe in the party. I know a lot of your candidates. Roberta was actually the one who turned me on to the VCP, Roberta Graham, and she was the first one I interviewed from your party. And that, again, was another great interview. And, I'm really seriously thinking of making a go for it. But I can't go into conspiracy theories anymore. I'll have to kind of drop that stuff. But, if anything, if I can wake people up, just wake them up, I would be okay with that. It's just so hard trying to talk with people who think they know everything and you can't tell them anything. And, there's a lot of people out there who are just lost and don't know what they can do and that their voice counts. And, they need to realize that their voice does count and can count if they use it. Even in a small way, it can count. So all of our voices are important. And that in itself, I think it would be interesting to run for office.
Well, the VCP does stand for the candidates, and it stands for the constituents, not the party. Now, there are party rules, yes, but not to a point where, let's say hypothetically we were elected and we sit in parliament. We're not going to have a little bug in our ear, and then our party leader is going to be sitting somewhere in Canada saying, try to promote this dictation. No, promote this one, promote that one. No, we look after the constituents in our riding. It doesn't matter how big the riding is. Now, when you look at the political system, especially in the voter base in your part of Ontario and the GTA, it is a real racket because you have all these districts And you could have 10,000 people in one riding and then 100,000 people in another. And yet all of a sudden you just got a big conglomerate of nothing but red or blue. I like to see the VCP gold, and regardless of how I feel towards the PPC party, I like to see them get a couple of seats too.
Yeah.
Just to make it, well, they talk about diversity and inclusion. Fine. Let's do it in our politics as well. Yeah. Rather than everybody just towing a certain line, worrying about stepping on eggshells, let's start worrying about the people that want their MPs and MLAs and MPPs alike to stand up for what's right when it comes to taxation, when it comes to inflation, okay, when it comes to doing proper cuts when it's needed. I'm a firm believer in upgrading our military to the finest potential to meet our NATO standards, but I'm also going to believe in cutting from the top as well, because the cream is starting to sour big time.
Too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
Well, yeah, you can say that, or that's saying too many damn cooks in the kitchen. Too many damn cooks for a 2-burner stove, really.
Yeah, I think the VCP and the PPC getting seats would scare the crap out of the globalist parties, and that's what they need. They need to realize they're losing their lackluster. They're losing their shine. I mean, and their stupidity has now been exposed, and their insanity and the corruption has now been exposed, and people are starting to see it. And I think they're looking for another option. And I really think, we need to push this VCP a lot more, because
really, there's no micromanagement. I know Randy personally from many years ago. We used to work together in one RCR, and he wasn't that type of leader. He wasn't a micromanager. He wasn't, lack of a better term, he wasn't a dick. He was a good man. He was a straightforward, straight shooter and a good person. Yeah. And when the situation called for it, there's sometimes he had to be that stern guy, but there's times in my career I had to be that stern guy, I had to be that prick too to get something done. And we're seeing pricks when it comes to looking after the Canadian populace. We're not seeing pricks to keep these guys in check, and that's what we need. We got to keep these people in check. I don't buy the race baiting BS. I don't buy the sexism or misogyny crap. No, because I've worked with many exceptional women in my career. Great ladies altogether, and they weren't promoted because they were women. They were promoted because they had what it took to get the job done. Yeah, exactly, just like any dude. So
and I was around when not only were they not paid as well as men that they do the same jobs with, but they had to actually they couldn't have their own bank accounts. They couldn't get their own apartments without a man's signature. That's the time I came from. Now to see they're still having problems in the area of the workplace where they're not treated equal and not paid equal, and they're being accused of getting there because they either slept their way to the top or because they were women and the company needed a quota or whatever. That's all bullshit.
Yeah, that's it.
Women can earn their way in as easy as men, and this is what the globalist parties need to see, is that the PPC and the VCP can get those seats and can get the voices of the Canadian people into the House of Commons.
And it's working together with them. I disagree with the Liberal Party big time, but I'm willing to work with them. I've actually encouraged my show, any Liberal candidate out there, you want to engage me in debate, bring it. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, they won't come.
What you got. Well, of course they won't, because they might hurt their feelings or something.
Well, no, because you're going to make a monkey out of them and expose their bullshit, just like I would. I would love to get some NDP candidates on my show. I tear them a new one.
Oh, same here too.
Their party is just a corrupted piece of shit.
Well, it just the party.
Since Jack Layton died, I love Jack Layton. He was an amazing.
I would say he was an exceptional leader too. As much as I disagree with his NDP mandates, he stood his ground, but he never pulled the race card or never pulled the sexism card. He talked about fairness, right? But he meant fairness with sincerity.
Yeah.
Right. Not just for the sake of brownie points. Not like Yagmeet and other individuals that say, "Oh, we have to do this and we have to do that." Yet you've agreed with Justin Trudeau in every mandate since you've been elected. Yeah. So I don't buy your bullshit. That's the thing. Take a few more questions, ladies and gentlemen, before we shut this down for the evening. My guest again is Elle Sophia Rossetti, blogger, vlogger, bit shooter, all around Patriot, Canadian. Great guest so far. Genuine Canadian and a proud Canadian at that too. Please feel free to ask us anything you'd like to know.
Randy, you're on. Jagmeet is a race hustler. You got that right. He's a race baiter. If you don't vote for me, you're a racist.
Mm.
Pardon me? What kind of, I couldn't believe he said that and anyone voted for him at all. Even his own people should have turned on him.
Well, Mayor
lame
Nanish did the same thing out here too. The Calgary mayor said the same thing.
And he's running against someone who actually is probably would be more qualified than he is. And that was Laurel Lynn Tyler Thompson. And she did good in that election, but he's got the fix. That's the problem. He's got those machines that count in his favor because the provincial and municipal elections are run by those machines, the vote counting machines. So that's the only reason I believe he won. I believe Laura would have either beat him or been very, very close to beating him. And kudos to her for trying, but you can't beat corruption sometimes. And in a small place like that, it's hard. But if we can get a couple of candidates from, say, rural areas to get elected and get into the House of Commons and start planting the Canadian voice and the Canadians' rights and freedoms into the House of Commons so they understand we are the boss. We pay their salaries. Without us, they don't have anything. And if every province was to pull out of the union right now and kind of create their own new union, that whole government would have to collapse.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
They better realize there's provinces wanting to do that, right from Saskatchewan or Manitoba right over to BC. They want out of the union, and it's called Wexit, right? Mostly Alberta, but I understand their thought patterns. I just don't think they're thinking it through. We all need to pull out of the union.
I could concur somewhat to that, but I can see more reasons for a Wexit than, let's say, any kind of block movement for that matter. I wasn't around when the first Meech Lake, well, I was around, but I was too young to understand it. The second one, where we all voted on, a lot of Canadians are going, well, why? Well, what's the problem? Because a lot of us were taught French in school, understanding les Québécois, understanding the voyageurs, understanding the history of both the English and the French empires, basically banging heads over North America, as we saw at the time. What gets me is that I don't believe anybody in this country, doesn't matter what language you speak or what color your skin is inferior or superior to anybody. I don't buy that for 1 second. I believe we can live together with French and English and really get along. I've had some exceptional French instructors who have shown me the finer points. And I've also had some Quebecers that I served with had trouble with certain pronunciations. I would help them with that and back and forth. A certain commerce like that, we got along. And we all used to laugh at the separatists. Basically, when I look at the separatist model, it's like, oh, I want to be independent, but mom and dad, you pay my bills. That's what I look at. The Blocs movement and their stance. Don't get me wrong, Mr. Blanchette is a very smart man, but in the same sense, it's like, buddy, you're agreeing with the wrong side here when it comes to our freedoms and our choices. Because I'm almost positive that an abundance of Quebecers, especially Les Bloc voters, like to go out and speak their mind, drink the beer, play their hockey, just like every other Canuck does too. Yeah. And you start censoring them, well, there goes your voter base, and there goes your safety. Yeah. So, needless to say, like I say, ladies and gentlemen, give us a couple more questions before we shut this down for this evening. This has been a Crusty Canuck Thursday Fastball. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and my lovely guest, Elle Sophia Rossetti, blogger, patriot extraordinaire, educated, common sense purveyor, I guess you can say too. Right.
And a damn good looking broad.
That's right there. Colorblind is the real anti-racist. Well, it's bad too, but you can always acknowledge people's color, but that's never been important to me. Like, okay, it's never been important to me to hang out with so many of this or so many of that. What's important is that you meet people that have good character and do their best to be good to people by their own means. Yeah. Just don't hit people, take their stuff. That's simple. It doesn't matter. In history, there's been bloody history on both sides of the border in every empire. When I was talking to Stephen Buffalo, I said, what if, let's say, if Spain didn't go bankrupt in the 1700s and Spain took over North America, what would North America be like? Would it be a Canada? Would it be the United States? Would there be a new Spain? Would it be a new Madrid? We don't know. Yeah. But history, three empires constantly clashing. One goes broke. One falls under the guise of Napoleon, and then Britain prevails. Okay, to the victors.
Yeah.
But if anybody is going to race bait and blame a certain culture, then blame the Romans.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. They're not around anymore. So what does it matter?
Yeah. No, we're still around. I'm Roman, actually.
Well, okay, the Italians. So
But yeah,
everyone,
the
okay, so
Italian Roman
everybody who
Italian.
comes from Rome, Italy, you give them a piece of your mind.
There you go. No, we everybody wants to blame everybody, but nobody wants to look in the mirror. Everybody wants to call everyone names, but nobody wants to look in the mirror.
Mm.
We all have faults, and we all have good points. And if we allow the mainstream media to be echo chambers to convince people we have a racism problem in this country, then we have a race problem in this country, because people just, they're not standing up and saying we're not racist. What the fuck? They're just saying, oh my God, yeah. Look, racism exists everywhere in the world. And in small, maybe some countries.
Oh, yeah, you're going to find the odd pocket of some dude saying this, or some weirdo or some bimbo saying that, fine. But it's not in a big scale like the MSN tells us.
Yeah, exactly.
That's disingenuous at its finest. Justin Mears likes to say, too, do the Mongols need to apologize for invading Europe 800 years ago? Well, I think so.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. No, not at all. Because let's say my roots come from Ireland and Scotland. Does that mean every speaking Englishman owes me £1.50 for what happened in the 1850s? I wasn't there. My parents weren't there. My grandparents weren't there. So, no. It's a matter of
they're making all these laws for M103 and all this. Well, when the Italians came here, we suffered a lot of friggin' racism too. There was no fucking law made for us to protect us. We sucked it up, and we excelled to show those people that we weren't what they were saying we were. And Italians are good fucking people. I don't care what anyone says. It doesn't matter if they're in court or on the construction circuit, but they are hardworking people. The Chinese people that came here and Japanese people who worked on the railways were hardworking people. And we all worked together, lived together, but there was never racism. When I grew up, we had kids from all different nationalities and races in my town, and it never mattered. No one ever said anything. It was just a bunch of kids playing together, and there was no.
I didn't see any segregation in my youth. I didn't see any signs posted. Have to be accompanied by an adult, or you have to be 18 years of age to enter. That's about it. I didn't see any color signs or any gender signs or anything like that. A lot of my respect was taught me by my parents and their parents respectively. And there might have been bigotry here or bigotry there, but it wasn't to a point where people were dying in the streets, being shot, being hung and quartered, or being tarred and feathered. Okay. There might have been subtle racism, but it wasn't as big and blown up as people say it is. Like that's just dumbfounded.
Look at Dr. Seuss books. There's 6 of his books, and some of them are from early 1900s. Okay, when he first started
in the early 60s. But it wasn't telling you that Asian people are like this and that's it. It was just showing you examples of the world. It wasn't meant to give you insight, because at that time too, my parents went to school. They still encourage you to go and see these places and check it out for yourself. To think for yourself, to find it out. If you're worried about a 6-year-old boy looking at a coloring book of a stereotypical Asian male with a certain type of hat on, well, okay, then it's up to mom and dad to sit there and say, well, they all don't wear those hats.
Yeah.
How about you go to China or go to Suriname or go to Vietnam and find that out for yourself? Or look up these countries and find out for yourself. If you happen to meet somebody from Vietnam, then ask them questions. It's just a matter of commerce, socializing, getting back and forth. You say something stupid, well, that person has rightfully so to give you a roundhouse to the chops.
Yeah.
There you go. Lesson learned.
But it was just the only time I ever seen separated neighborhoods of say Asians or Italians and all this was in Toronto. But that was encouraged by the government, and the whole Black community was in its own communities. There's 2 Chinatowns in Toronto. I still don't understand how that worked out. There's little Israel. There's little, I mean, all these, but I've never seen any of that kind of stuff. In my town, we were all just mixed. Everybody lived on whatever street they lived on, and there was no segregation and no collection of peoples.
Well, before I joined the military, I did the same thing. I used to live in Newmarket, Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
And there was quite the diverse mix there as well, too. I used to live in London, Ontario, my punk rock days. God, every Friday night you do a show. Wow. Everyone coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
All the punkers, all the metalheads, all the headbangers, all shapes and sizes, didn't matter. We all drank our beers, played the music, and had a great time.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I grew up in Richmond Hill, right near Newmarket. So we had, we were a small town, but I mean, there was none of that crap.
Well, you hop on a go bus, you hit Finch Subway, voila, there you go, downtown Toronto. 20 minutes later, there you go. As my friend Adam says, center of the known universe. Sarcastically, but see, that's the thing. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, get a couple more questions in before we shut this down this evening. My guest is Miss Elle Sophia Rossetti, the Roman Empress herself, or parts thereof. Exactly. So, one more statement from Justin Mears. One day we're going to meet racist aliens and we'll be oppressed together.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that really bad story of what was it called? Planet, or what was that really bad movie by L. Ron Hubbard? What was it called? John Travolta was in it. Yeah, because all the humans were treated like cattle, and they occupied the earth for like 1,000 years, and their biggest thing was gold, and they hate radiation. What the hell was it? Battlefield Earth, I think it was.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. The Cyclos were like 7.5 feet tall, and they had the big hands, and they treat all humans. Yeah, okay. But in a way, that's kind of eerie too. Kind of like what H.G. Wells promoted, how the Martians came and tried to get rid of the infection called the human race.
Yeah.
Interesting. Who knows?
And careful, we might be the aliens we're looking for.
Oh, you never know.
Well, science predicts.
And according to your roommate there in the hospital, we're on Star Trek.
Yeah, no, that was the end of that conversation. We had such a long conversation, and I had even mentioned I was voting for the Veterans Coalition Party, and she said, "Oh, more racists." I said, "No." I said, "They were the ones who fought for the fucking right for you to be transgender and for you to get your surgery and have a life. They're the ones who fought for your freedoms and your rights to speak out and be a leftist snowflake. And they are the ones who fought for our freedoms and the reason that Canada has been a great country. My grandfather was one of those people. And so I'm voting. I told her I'm voting VCP because that's where common sense is. And that's what we need in this country is some common sense and to get rid of these leftist snowflakes like Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh and all these other idiots, because they're nothing but they're propagandists. They're globalists. They're just sellouts. They're bought and paid for monkeys is what they are. We need to get rid of all these people, all of them, right back from Papa Trudeau. When he took over was when the coup started. And when it got worse, that was in 1968 when he first got in. By 1971, he had sold us out. 73, he sold us out to the Rothschild family, to the banking cartels. And since then, Canada has slid on a great downhill, and every leader we've had has played along with it. We need to stop this. We need a leader like Randy Joy to get in there who won't be bought and sold, who won't be paid off like a monkey.
Neither will I.
No, neither will the candidates. And I've interviewed a lot of them, and I got a few more to go yet, talking with Pat Robar. So, look, we need a party in there who's going to do something for the Canadian people and to change what's going on in that House of Commons, because it's a big corrupted ball of shit right now. And they're taking our freedoms and rights under the assumption of giving us some kind of false security. I don't want universal basic income. Now that I've transitioned, I want to get back to work. I don't want to be in any form of limited income. So, they're taking all this from us. They're taking our rights to do all this. They're shutting down small businesses that worked very hard to get there, who borrowed money from the government and paid and are still paying back with interest that money, yet the government's closing their stores because they're not essential. Mm-hmm. All businesses are essential.
Everyone's essential. You nailed it on the head there, Al.
Yeah.
Well, we'll take another more question before we shut this down this evening. Great turnout so far, but not about 2 hours. We actually had a pretty good turnout. So,
amen, Dave.
Dave Hemmington, yes, Trudeau might be the alien Stephen Hawking was warning us about that would end mankind. Well, facsimiles thereof, but I'm not intimidated by a half-assed boxer that wears fancy socks when it comes to talking about NATO securities. So I'm not afraid of that man whatsoever.
He's a puppet, Dave. That's all he is.
That's the thing.
He's got a little hand. He's hollow in the middle, so they can stick their hands up his butt and make him dance.
Yeah, and he likes to dance at the Canadian taxpayers' expense too.
Yeah, so. He doesn't like me either. I've been attacking him for my whole career on YouTube and every other channel. So no, he's just a puppet. He was groomed for this, and it's funny.
I would say
a year before he ran, he said he wanted nothing to do with politics because he was asked about it. He was junior. He was a junior doing junior jobs in the politics, but he said he didn't want to be prime minister. Then all of a sudden he's running for prime minister. And I'm just like, are you phony, asshole?
Well, what incentive was he given? That's the thing. Well, what kind of dirt do some powers that be have on him as well, too? So that's the thing.
This job for 8 years will make you fucking rich beyond your dreams. What would he say to that after being a loser fucking part-time drama teacher, right? Okay. So that's what he did. But we don't need him. We don't need him as a leader. We don't need him even in government. We don't need none of these people. Not Wynne, not Ford, not this Jason Kenney idiot. All these people, even the guy in Quebec.
Well, I'm disappointed, Kenny, because I thought he had a little more gumption than what he has. I'm disappointed. He's done some good things.
He built himself up, but he knew he was a fucking sellout. I told everyone he was a sellout because I knew what he did in Brooks, Alberta, with the migrants there, and he cleaned that town pretty much out, and all the migrants got all the jobs at the food processing plants and stuff. And then he turned around and made it look like he was against that sort of thing and limiting migrants to Alberta, but he's not. He's a sheep in
a wolf in sheep's clothing.
I don't want to use the word wolf because wolves actually have honor.
Wolves are majestic. Yeah.
He's a coyote in sheep's clothing.
Okay, well, we'll shut this down now, Elle. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, my guest has been Elle Sophia Rossetti, blogger, patriot, all-around great gal, all-around patriot, all-around decent human being, informative. You can find her on BitChute. You can find her address here at the bottom of the screen. Please, if you like and hear what you see, follow Elle at BitChute on the channel. Just look for Cousin Elle, and you'll be good to go. If you like what you hear and see from me, please follow me, CrustyCanuck.ca. Look for my YouTube page. Look at the community page. I have a poll going on there, too, about video/audio, whatever. So please answer my poll to the best of your ability. Be honest. Also, look for me in updates on my Facebook page as well. I post tidbits, little sayings, simple quotations, and I give you updates on my videos and podcasts as they come. Tomorrow, sometime, I will have a new episode up, sometime after 2 o'clock. I will get another episode up on the Crusty Canuck podcast for you, my lovely fans out there. So please consider donating today. If you like and hear what you see, please check the Supercast in my description on the YouTube page. Click that. For $5 a month, you get my podcasts, roughly about 8 or 9 episodes a month of me, uncensored, full audio. I'm working on the video too, but give that time. But like I say, I'm working on video software, what have you. So please answer my poll on my community page and pay attention to my community page on YouTube as well for updates on stuff, prizes, merchandise, and new episodes coming your way. Like I said, Jill, my guest has been Elle Sophia Rossetti. Anything you'd like to say to the crowd before we shut her down tonight?
You can catch me on Facebook at Elle's Place. I got Elle's Places on almost every platform. So basically, I'm not one who's going to sit there and tell you what to believe or tell you what to think. All I do is I give you what I know or what I found out so you can make your own informed decisions. That's what I'm all about. I'm just about informing people. I'm not about telling you what to believe or think. I don't play the transgender card and all this bullshit. I'm against all that. So like I said, don't feel afraid to join me at Elle's place on BitChute or Brighton or Facebook, or I'm all over the internet. So I look forward to seeing you all. Oh, and Rumble too.
Yes, I'm working on that account as well too. Rumble.
Yeah, Rumble's a good platform because they now have live streaming. So for Premier members, but they're going to have it for everybody in a few more months. So Rumble's become a great platform to look at if you want to go and see a lot of good videos. I'm on there.
Outstanding. Okay. Well, I'm on there too. I'm just working some license things out as well. But you can find me there in Rumble under Crusty Canuck. You'll see a black and white picture of me and then a few of my videos so far. But like I say, ladies and gentlemen, my guest has been Elle Sophia Rossetti, Patriot, blogger, vlogger, BitChute, Brighton, whatever social platform you can get on other than YouTube. You can find Elle and do what you can to get the word out. And I encourage you, my listeners and viewers alike, please share this work, share my podcast, share Elle's work, share everyone's work to the best of your ability. Get the rhythm going, get things on the go so people can start thinking and being free to look at what they want and do what they want by their own leisure. That's simple. I have been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 29th of April. My guest has been Elle Sophia Rossetti.
Thanks for having me on, by the way. It was an honor.
Not a problem. It's an honor to have you too. And sometime in the future, once you get your work up and going, I would be honored to be a guest in your show as well.
Awesome.
So by all means, like I say, ladies and gentlemen, as always, do what you can to help each other out. This has been the Crusty Canuck Thursday Fastball. And do what you can to help your neighbors out and all that. And remember, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and we'll see you next time. And you might see some of you Sunday, too, in the Sunday Fastball. Bye for now.
Bye.